mindfulness versus mindlessness. I think they're two important contradictions, and I think they're equally important. So you can put that down in your memory banks. Maybe we can talk about it.
Morning, Herman. Welcome on board.
Thank you very much.
Have you got video on your side?
I do. If you want to see my ugly face, that's all right.
Yeah, we like to see the faces at least to start off with. And
hi, Herman.
We shut down
later. Morning. How you doing? Listen, I must tell you, this guy I like big time, man. Herman Funk. How do you say it? Is it Funk or Funk? Or what do you do?
Funk.
Funk. Herman,
yeah.
Funk. I like that even better than Funk. Funk. I like that. No, this boy's got experience. Let me tell you, I like him.
Right. Well, I think we're on 8 o'clock, so let's. I mean, we've already started chatting, but let's go. Trevor was wanting to chat about your slides from yesterday, Lee, and so let's take it from there, Jeff. What I'm going to do, Herman, just to let you know, we mute everybody's microphones while one person is talking, and when you want to talk, just unmute and have a chat. So I'm going to mute. Everyone wants to mute, and Trevor can get going.
Well, I want to hand over to Lee because she put that little slide deck together, and I think it's the right way to go there. I'm going to mute myself.
Okay, all yours, Lee. Go.
I'm just sharing my screen. I think what Herman, maybe just to fill you in a bit, because Guy, you've kind of been tracking with us, and what we're doing every day is meeting with positive, passionate people who want to make a difference in society. And each day the sort of conversation evolves and works its way through, and then it just prompts the thinking for the next day. So for the last couple of days, we've been thinking about questions. We've got this time available to us, and it's giving us the opportunity to reflect, to evaluate, to prioritize, to explore, what is it that we actually want out of life? We've got this huge pause button on much of the activity that normally keeps us busy. It's not to say that we aren't working or getting on with things, but things that would normally take time, like travel and so on, isn't available there anymore. So it's giving us that opportunity to mull things over. And so if we're going to use the time productively, that thinking time, it really does boil down to what are the questions that we're asking. Because if we're asking ourselves quality questions, we're going to be starting to think about quality results. So I put together the slide deck, and I just to prompt some of the thinking. So it's not really about me doing any kind of presentation. It's just about, so as you see each of the slides, we can stop, we can, say what it means to us. I started with this one because I just thought it's a fun way to actually get us into the subject. Anybody want to say anything on this?
Yeah, Ali, I'd like to. I think as fun as it might be, I think too many people actually go this route, and if you mindlessly Google questions of any sort, you can wind up with all sorts of weird and wonderful answers, and many of them, if you're not looking at them with a discerning eye, many of them can be completely wrong or misleading, or the classic one is the hypochondriacs who Google their symptoms and they wind up with all these weird and wonderful diseases because it could be anything, and I think that's the real challenge when you're looking externally for the answers. I think the real answers come from internally and just are prompted by the right questions. So yeah, that's just my comment on that.
Yeah, I would like to add, I think there's nothing wrong with Googling it as long as it triggers the process within. If it doesn't, there's no point. I mean, as you said, the answer is not out there. Meaning of life is an answer from within. And if it triggers a thinking process, yes, but otherwise it's a no-no.
Great, thanks. I see Cello has just come on board with us. So I'd just like to welcome him on. Morning, Cello. Welcome on board. Your first meeting with us. Glad you could join us. As you can see, we do have our videos on at this stage. We'll just have to see how the bandwidth manages with the videos on. But if you'd like to put your video on so everybody can meet you face to face, as it were, for the first time, that'd be great. So yeah. Morning, Cello.
Ivan, while you're doing that, I just want to alert Guy. I sent him a private message. Just have a look at your chat messages, Guy, and send me a message back, please.
I see Cello says he's working on the video. That's fine. So I think in the short term, Cello, when you up and going, just raise your hand or let us know, and in the meantime we'll just carry on. So back to you, Lee.
Yeah, so I'm just picking up on what Herman was saying about, and Ivan, about how we can, look for meaning outside of ourselves, or we can try and, we almost avoid, I think, sometimes the journey within. And I think some of it is that we're looking for validation. We're looking for some kind of external affirmation that I'm okay. And so, if we go a little bit deeper with this, I'm wondering whether part of the reason why people Google is they're actually looking for a community of people who are like them, or that they can be like, to say, I'm okay. And that some of it is a search for self-esteem.
Great, thanks, Lee. Would anyone like to perhaps comment on that, Guy or Trevor or Cello? No, nobody chatting at this stage. Good. Okay, Lee, would you like to just?
We're chatting in the background on the chat facility privately between individuals. So there's a number of conversations on the go.
All right. So Guy wants to say something. So Guy, go for it.
Morning. I'm glad Lee's picked this word, questions or questioning. I think over this period, and I'm looking at it. How I've changed my behavior and habits started to, and I'm redesigning a new way of life. And so with that, I've said to myself, what questions do I need to ask myself? And what questions do we need to ask each other about what are the actual bottom line issues after the 21 days, because some of us sitting here may not be earning an income for 3 weeks, and I think a lot of people at FCC would be in the same boat, or whatever. I'm making that assumption. And so maybe as a team we need to look at some of the critical questions that we should be listing to actually be asking of new folk that join us on this platform, and get their input. And I think after 20 days or whatever, we have a list of key questions that may be able to propel us forward in a better way in terms of trying to get some better individual results and tribe results. Cool, thank you.
Great, thanks, Guy. Trevor, did you want to add on to that?
Yeah, you know, I'm fascinated when people then start making these sort of comments. I'm redesigning my life, Guy, because none of us really know each other. What 1, 2, or 3 things are you looking to redesign? I mean, just what do you want to move away from in the past, or where do you want to go to in the future? Just 1, 2, or 3. Nothing deep. Just so we can get an understanding of what it is you're planning, because I think everyone is going through the same process at the moment. What can we gain out of these 21 days that will add to something significant moving forward?
For me, the first one is re-looking at how can I communicate to people about personal freedom, and what does that mean to them and us. And secondly, look at how I've been communicating historically and seeing what behavior and habits that I need to adjust. And thirdly, just looking a lot closer at technology, because you know our platform is quite well known, etc. But to me, it's like a new world, and I hope Ivan doesn't ask me to be a host, because I'll cock things up big time. So that redesigning my life around this technology at my age, you know, I've got a smartphone and all that, and I've got to elevate that. I've got to collapse the timeline very quickly, and I intend doing that over the next 21 days. So those are the 3 sort of things, Trevor.
And Guy, if I can come in, the first point that you made is personal freedom. What is personal freedom to you now, moving forward? What are the 1, 2, or 3s that highlight for you that you're now living in a lifestyle of personal freedom? What are you aiming for here?
Briefly, and if you look at my LinkedIn articles or post, I did a 5-page article last night on personal freedom at about 12 o'clock. Just sitting at my computer messing around, and I thought, what the hell, I've got some time. Look, personal freedom to me is doing what I want, when I want, and how I want, within the laws of the land. And by being able to do that, I suppose there's some upsides and downsides. But that's fundamentally what it is, and it's in tune with my simple philosophy of thinking, discipline, behavior, and habits. And over this next period, I'm hopefully changing some behavior and some habits. Yeah, that's pretty simple. But look, I've been talking too much. I want to listen. So thank you, Trevor.
No. You know what? It's important that we get an idea of the different personalities that are on board and how we can actually help each other and how different people are actually thinking. Lee, what did you think of that little interaction, just from your perspective?
Sorry, Trevor. I think Herman has been trying to get a word in for the last 5 minutes.
I'm muting myself too.
Thanks, Ivan. You know, for me, to design a life is actually an ongoing process. And one of the things I believe in is to look at things I need to let go of. And I actually operate from the premise that I'm not a human being, but a human becoming. And I kind of, if you like, reflected on everyone I'm in connection with. In other words, it's a learning path. You guys know I'm 80, in a couple of weeks' time, I'm 82, and I'm still kind of learning and, if you like, redesigning my life on an ongoing basis. And to give you a practical example, I'm working through the book, The Artist's Way, and I decided to reflect on as far back in my life as I can remember, in order to establish what actually has impacted on certain experience, or what has caused certain experiences and happenings in my life, based on on things that happened whilst I was a toddler, and from then onwards. And it's a process which I think is quite critical in order to A, establish status quo, and B, determine the direction I want to go to. Thanks.
Thanks, Herman. Okay, Lee, would you like to pick up there now?
Yeah, because I think, you know, this slide here about who am I is picking up on some of those thoughts, because it seems that who am I is based on what's happened to us in the past, our experiences of who we have shown up as, you know, what our history, our background, our experiences start to build up a sum of the person that we feel that we are. But it doesn't define us. Our past doesn't have to define us, because there is a future that lies ahead. And I love this, you know, Herman saying we're a human becoming. So the past informs who we are, because I don't want to keep changing myself, that, you know, I'm flipping from one person or one being to another, that there's a consistency that says, if I am Lee, and when you see Lee, this is the person that you will expect to see, but it doesn't limit my growth and my development and my ongoing becoming. So, you know, I think that's where we have to, and I guess that's part of our reflection now, is how much time do we spend in the past thinking about, okay, so what do I learn from that? And how do I, you know, what do I need to integrate from my past into my present? And who then do I want to become? What is it that I want to change? And how can I become more of the person that I want to be?
Great, thanks, Lee. I'm going to ask Cello if he wants to just have a quick chat and tell us what he thinks he's got himself into this morning here, and what he's hearing so far. So, Cello, over to you.
Morning, everybody. I'm so glad that I could join you today. I actually tried yesterday, but I had lost that contact, that link that you had sent me, but I'm glad that I was able to get through today. And I had to just quickly change devices because I had connected with the desktop, so I needed something with the video. I'm enjoying the chat so far, looking good. Let's see how it goes.
Great, thanks, Cello. Anybody else want to comment on what Lee's just said? I'm just going to have a quick comment myself. I think I love this picture that you've got up here now, Lee. I think it just reflects for me, you know, that we're not just an individual. We're a sum of many different parts and many different things. And you know, and I also loved Herman's comment about a human becoming. I think that's exactly what it is. You know, what outfit are you putting on today, and what or in this moment even, you know, what is it you're trying to become right now? And so I think this I really like the artist who created this particular image. I think it can say many different things.
And I also just want to add on to that comment, who you're going to become is also a factor of the people that you mix with going forward. That sometimes you've got to be breaking away from the individuals that are dragging you down, or the wrong type of individuals. I mean, Shelwyn and I, we discuss all the time. We've got many friends that are overseas. They're in Australia, they're in New Zealand, they're in Europe, and they love getting back to us and saying, geez, it's bum in South Africa, don't you agree? And we're the guys in South Africa, and we're saying to them, listen, we think everyone has got a vested interest. When you move across to New Zealand, or you move across to Australia, or you move across to Europe, or to the States, it seems to be human nature that you've actually got to justify the move that you actually took. And so you've got to be very careful about the inputs that you're getting from the people that are close to you, and you've got to try and be bringing other people in that actually raise the bar for you. that help you to start communicating the type of discussion points that will help you to get to where you want to be. Lee, I think you're perhaps better positioned to comment on the quality of people that you mix with.
Yeah, I think I think the type of people that you mix with also stimulate the right questions, right? You know, and you know, it's those questions, and I think we might even have mentioned this previously, is that when you are being asked the right questions, you also, with the quality of the people that you're with, they're listening to the answers. And so you feel respected, you feel, and it's mutual. So there is a sense of people really investing in you because of the interest that they're paying to who you are. And I think that's again sort of confirms that you're on the right path, or on a path that you feel you are being the person that you want to be. I also wanted just to raise from this image, is especially relevant to this time, is we may define ourselves in a number of different ways because of the things that we do, or the roles that we play. But what happens when what you do or the role that you have is taken away? In other words, a job, a work, somebody dies, and that relationship isn't there anymore. These are radical things, I know, but these are things that people are facing now. And it affects how they see themselves because they were invested in that activity or in that relationship. And so how does it change, and how does it then affect how you see yourself?
Thanks, Lee. Yeah, I think that gives a lot of us something to really think about. But I think what's really important for me about asking the right questions is actually being able to start verbalizing the answers, because too many times we have the answers spinning around in our heads and they never actually come out into the ether, as it were. And I think once you've been asked a good question, whether you're asking it yourself or somebody is asking it of you, the ability to actually verbalize it makes it a lot more real. It makes it a lot more tangible. And often when you're verbalizing something, your clarity on that particular exercise just gets better and better and better. Where if it's spinning in your head, you know, you've got all these little thoughts and voices and things talking and conflicting with each other, and the simple process of actually verbalizing just brings that back down to a level of clarity, I think. So that's
and even a guy talking about him writing down a 5-pager or whatever. Now I'm intrigued. I'm going to go onto LinkedIn and I'm going to find out what it is that the guy wrote about himself, because once you actually put it down into writing, then you start getting clarity, because you go back over that and you clean up the copy. So if he goes through 4 or 5 iterations of whatever he wrote down last night, he's going to get a clearer vision of who or what he wants to be after these 21 days.
100%. Herman, you got your hand up?
Yes, what both comments point to me to the importance of language. There's a quite an interesting quote by Ludwig Wittgenstein, who said, "The limit of my language is the limit of my world." And what you said, Ivan, and also Trevor referred to, And what Guy does is verbalizing things, and it also shows you the limit of your own language sometimes, and it kind of ends up in questioning how do I expand my whole thinking, and I can only do that through language. I mean, the very simple reason that we have achieved what we have is due to language and nothing else, because there are animals out there that are, from a genetic point of view, not very far away from us, yet they haven't achieved what we have achieved because they are lacking language. Now, I think it's a critical kind of aspect to expand one's language, which expands one's thinking. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Herman. Yeah, and I think there's a simple challenge in what Herman has just said for all of us. You know, does your ability to express yourself actually allow you to develop yourself? So if you don't actually have the words, you need, you know, maybe there's a challenge. Go out and start learning some new words. You know, I always think of that Australian chap, Trevor, you'll remember his name, Peter Daniels.
Oh yes,
Peter Daniels, yeah. Peter Daniels was basically a functional illiterate at the age of 26, and he went to a Christian rally and was told that he's the, you know, the son of a king. So he said, well, if I'm a son of a king, I must be a prince. If I'm a prince, therefore I should start doing something about this. And he started walking around with a dictionary. Everywhere he went, he had a dictionary in his hand. And somebody would say something to him which he wouldn't understand, and he would look it up in the dictionary, or he'd find a word in the dictionary which he couldn't pronounce, and he'd stop someone in the street and say, tell me how to say this word. Over the balance of his life, he actually became a billionaire. You know, from being functionally illiterate and an unemployed ditch digger at 26, he radically changed his life through words and through developing his vocabulary and developing his words. So yeah, I think that's
Peter
fantastic.
Daniels. His is a fascinating story. We've been through all of his books. We've met with him. We've chatted to him. If you don't know him, go and Google him. And this is where that first slide, Google, comes in. And even on this discussion, and Herman, you're bringing it up, I think Google is the most fantastic facility to actually broaden your language, because the dictionaries and the synonyms and the antonyms against the word, it brings words to life. Herman, I don't know if you agree with that.
I agree with you 100%, which doesn't happen too often, Trevor.
Don't worry, I'll mute you as soon as I can.
I wanted, because we're talking about language, I'd really be interested to know, for those of you who are bilingual or trilingual, whether having multiple languages actually gives you a breadth and a depth of language to be able to draw on, to be able to explain and develop yourself.
Yeah, Stella, go for it.
Yes, I'm really fascinated with the whole concept of language, to be honest, because I'm someone who's been working as a coach for a very long time, I think since 2000 or something like this. And one of the things that we've started saying to our guys is, if we're going to coach you, can you please take up a new language? It doesn't matter which language, and we have guys learning all kinds of languages, using apps and all this. And for us, it's more of a matter of, if you want to shift your mind, if you want to shift your world, if you want to shift your perspective, you need to either learn a new instrument or learn to cook or learn a new language. So language for us plays that kind of role. And to your point though, as someone who does speak quite a few languages, I think there's something that I'm finding now, as someone who writes as well with coronavirus and everything. I realize how connected we are, first of all. So I kind of see that everything really is a language, and you can allow yourself to learn a language, not just languages as in Zulu, English, but Also, mannerism to me is a language, and habit is a language. And when I coach guys, especially because sometimes it's young guys, you have to understand their language and you have to kind of communicate in their language. So if it's someone that, for instance, likes soccer, to me, that's a language. And I must find what I want to say about business and find metaphors in a different language. So to your point, it really does help to have more than one language because it just allows you to understand more people and you know, it just allows you to, it allows the relationship part to take more center precedence. And I think that's more important. I mean, with everything that's happening, one of the things that we are learning for ourselves is we need to be present. And that's all that really happens in crisis. If you're a spiritualist, it's you must be present. You must stop being either too much in the past or too much in the future. Just come back and be present. What about this present moment? So this kind of, even with the lockdown and everything, it just kind of pushes us back to remember that you're connected to everyone and remember to be present. So language for me then becomes, even technology is a language. Can we use Zoom? Can that be our language now? Are you so for me, it's more about, are you willing to learn a different language? And you must understand in the greater scheme of things, in terms of the practicalities of the people that I work with, there are guys that I'll make a very, very strong example, a very, very strong but kind of obvious example. There are guys that will not access new information simply because it came, for instance, in Afrikaans. And because you have an emotional feeling about Afrikaans, and then you don't get the lesson, you don't get to share in a relationship. And for us, it's to say language is a little bit beyond how we speak. It's more into who are you exactly. And you know, entrepreneurship then becomes a language for us. So whether you are English speaking, whether you are French speaking, for us, it's a language because it's entrepreneurship. We can meet there at that level. So for us, it's about meeting the relationships where they are kind of. I think that's just about it that I wanted to add on.
So I'm learning a new language. Did you see my clap up there? My Zoom clap.
Yes, I saw it.
Yeah, and I think just what you said there was absolutely fantastic. And that's the key reason why we've all come together, to start getting these inputs from different people that we're meeting sometimes for the first time, sometimes that we absolutely disagree with, like Herman Funk, for goodness sake, why is he on this thing? But it broadens your ability to think and discuss and debate. And so I think we're going to have exciting times going down the road here over this 21-day period. And Leah, something that Cello said there, it took me, I'm sure you've got another frame with an Einstein in it that I think would be perfect to back up what Cello said there about the past, the present, and the future. That's the one.
Go for it, Guy.
Oh no, I'm just having technology. I've moved from my laptop to my cell phone because my laptop's lost connection for whatever reason. So I've been listening in the background, but I'm on two devices. So sorry about that.
Juggling technologies. Yeah. Okay. Great. Thanks. We are just past the bottom of the hour, so I don't know if we want to carry on for a little bit longer or if we want to start wrapping up. Lee, do you want to take over?
Yeah, I think we can wrap up. I think this is the, Trevor, I think it's the perfect slide to end off with, because I definitely think it summarizes what we've been talking about, because it brings in this aspect of the past, the present, and the future. And then this aspect of questioning, which is about language. And I also love what Stella was saying about language and understanding and learning different languages, and that it's not defined, a language isn't defined just by, you know, whether it's English or Zulu or Afrikaans, but it's the language of that person's interest. And I think how we learn is by asking questions. Trying to get to understand what people are, you know, what we don't know, because the person who's talking or sharing, they don't know what we don't know. So we're only going to learn if we ask questions of others, but also we've been talking about asking questions of ourselves, and that there's something in the brain that responds to questions, that when you, even if you don't get the answer straight away, if you keep asking the question, it allows the brain to search, to look for, find, and it just keeps that activity going, and then suddenly something pops into your head. So there's something very, very powerful about this aspect of keeping asking questions.
Great, thanks, Lee. I think what we'll do is we'll go through everybody and just a final comment before we wrap up. So Herman put his hand up first. So Herman, please go for it. Herman, your mic's still muted. We can't hear you. Just unmute your mic, Herman.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed that session, and you will see and hear me again. The last time and the first time ever I was exposed to the wisdom's philosophy, one man was present who I'm missing today, Viv Brown, and I really would have loved to have him on the conversation here today as well. But yeah, that's his life. Thanks.
Thanks, Herman. Guy, do you want to have a final comment, seeing that you've been bouncing in and out with your technology? And,
Been a good session again. Thank you.
great, thanks, Guy. Cello, do you want to have a wrap-up comment?
I'd just like to thank you guys. It's always nice to find a tribe. It's always nice to find a community, you know. And when you find people that seemingly speak the language that you speak, it's even more exciting. It's just one of those things. I'm just very happy. I look forward to inviting some of the guys that I work with, some of the coaches that I work with down here in Durban, because I've already told 2 of them who are colleagues. You know, we put projects together, and I said to them, look, there's this thing that I've been invited to. Let's see how it goes, because we've always liked kind of connecting. For us, we are fascinated with the whole concept of connecting. So now I'm very happy with the session. It's been very, you know, enlightening, and I really do look forward to many more.
Great, thanks, Stella. And yeah, we appreciate you extending the invite out to your circles, and we encourage everybody to do the same. So there's no restrictions on who joins us. We want it to go as far and as wide as possible. So thanks for that. Right, and then I think it's just Trevor, you want to have a final word, and then we'll close off.
Yeah, I think it was a fascinating 35 minutes today, with some fantastic inputs from different directions. And it just fits absolutely perfectly our philosophy of bringing together passionate people who want to make a positive difference in society. So I'm excited with what I picked up here. And in my mind, I have exactly the same future vision as Guy does. How, after this 21-day initiative, playing around with this new Zoom language, so I'm now changing it from Zoom technology to Zoom language. I think Cello's put that correctly for me. How have we advanced, and here's my cap, 20x in those 21 days? So I think we're almost talking the same language about how is this going to impact us in a big way over a shorter period of time. How will we come out of this lockdown period? So I love all the different inputs, and Herman, 100%. There's not a day that goes past that I don't think about Viv Brown, and especially Jenny and his family. In fact, I'm going to go and give Jenny a call just to see how she's doing. And maybe you should do as well, and say, hey, we were talking about you guys. I think she'd love to have some sort of feedback that we're thinking about Viv. He would have loved this, big time.
Can you share her phone number with me? I haven't got her phone number.
I will get the phone number for you. If you stay on board when everyone goes, then I'll get his phone number for you. It's on my cell phone, which is down in the kitchen. I'll have to run down there, and I'll get it across for you. Okay.
Okay, super. Thank you.
Great.
Great. Thanks everyone, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock.